This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 22, and verse 14. So while prophesying unto our people, the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, to seek the Lord God while still may be found, call upon his name, Yahweh. And the Jew is one inwardly. It's not about the fringes. It's about circumcising your heart. The scriptures say that glorify not in yourselves, but glorify in the fact that you know the counsels of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Paul the Apostle said, a Jew is one inwardly. So it's not about how you look. It's about preparing yourself for the day of the Lord, which will burn as an oven, like it says in the book of Malachi. It's talking about the destruction of America, Babylon, and Great, which is coming when all hell breaks loose in the time of Jacob's trouble. And these days are hastening quickly. The great famine as well. The so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. Ezekiel 22 and 14. Can thine heart endure? Can thine hands be strong in the days that I shall deal with thee? I, the Lord, have spoken it, and will do it. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 22, and verse 18. Son of man, the house of Israel is unto me become dross. All they are brass, and tin, and iron, and lead in the midst of the furnace. They are even the dross of silver. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, because you are all become dross, therefore I will gather you into the midst of Jerusalem, as they gather silver and brass and iron and lead and tin to the midst of the furnace, to blow the fire upon it, to melt it. So I will gather you in mine anger and in my fury, and I will leave you there and melt you. Which is why the book of Matthew chapter 22 speaks about bidding our people to the marriage. There has to be a location for every marriage. Ultimately, it's to be joined with the Lord in the chariots. But the Lord God has brought the nation of Israel, the majority in America, Babylon the Great, to receive their judgment. The 10 lost tribes that came into the Americas, which is the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom, which was brought to the Americas according to Deuteronomy 28 and 68. He shall be brought back into Egypt, sold as bondmen and as bondwomen. No man will buy you, meaning no man will redeem you from the state that you're in. The desolation of Jerusalem, where Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and Simeon, which are the so-called African Americans, West Indians, the Haitians, the Dominicans, after fleeing for a moment persecution in 70 AD, fled into the interiors of West Africa. Then they were brought via the transatlantic slave trade. We're all back here. We're all back today. We are the same people. We just come from different clans and tribes. A tribe is your father being the head of your descendancy. A clan being a tribe within a tribe, which is in the Hebrew, mashapach. Ezekiel 22 and 22, as silver is melted in the midst of the furnace, so you shall be melted in the midst thereof. You shall know that I, the Lord, have poured out my fury upon you. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Ezekiel 22 and 24, Son of man, say unto her, Thou art the land that is not cleansed, nor rained upon in the day of indignation. It speaks about that in the book of Numbers, that the land cannot be cleansed but by the blood of him that shed it. Which is why Isaiah chapter 14 says, prepare slaughter for their children. This is not by our hands. Vengeance is of the Lord, like the Holy Bible says. Which is why the Lord created the smith to blow the coals into the fire, and the weapons and the destroyer for the Lord's weapons of his indignation, to render the vengeance upon Edom and you other nations that have forwarded the affliction upon our people. The so-called white man, which has shed the blood of God's chosen people, the apple of God's eye, which are the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, 12 tribes of Israel, the people of the book, the Israelites. Ezekiel 22 and 25. There is a conspiracy of her prophets in the midst thereof, like a roaring lion, ravening the prey. They have devoured souls. They have taken the treasure and precious things. They have made her many widows in the midst thereof. So even within those that are prophesying unto our people, they're not giving our people the 100% truth. They're not warning them about things like martial law, FEMA camps, the RFID chip, which is coming to America, Babylon the Great, which is the mark of the beast, according to Revelation 13 and 16. So-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. So they have blood on their hands as well. They're not telling our people to call upon the name of the Lord, like IUIC. ISUPK is not giving you the proper breakdowns of the Holy Bible. They're not going into the history. They're not telling you about the Greek, the Hebrew. Sakari, camps like Sakari, bringing weapons to camp. That's not what the Holy Bible is about. The Holy Bible is about faith. It's about waiting upon the Lord, calling upon His name, repenting as Israelites, seeking the prophecies of the Holy Bible, you so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. And the doors of mercy are closing for our people as you see these prophecies coming to pass. So our people have become as dross, as good for nothing. The Lord does not need a sinful man. Ezekiel 22 and 26. For priests have violated my law and have profaned my holy things. They have put no difference between the holy and profane. Neither have they shewed difference between the unclean and the clean. They have hid their eyes from my Sabbaths, and I am profane among them. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 24, verse 6. Wherefore, thus saith the Lord God, woe to the bloody city, to the pot whose scum is therein, and whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece. Let no lot fall upon it. So our people have become as dross, as good for nothing, as scum. And Lord God is searching His remnant, His faithful, those that believe in His word. But those of you that are for the sword will be for the sword. Some to the famine, to the famine. Some to the pestilence, to the pestilence. Why? Because you despise the law of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Ezekiel 24 and 7. For her blood is in the midst of her. She set it upon the top of a rock. She poured it upon the ground to cover it with dust, that it might cause fury to come up to take vengeance. I have set her blood upon the top of a rock, that it should not be covered. Therefore thus saith the Lord God, woe to the bloody city. I will even make the pile for fire great. Which is why 2/3 of our people will be coerced into taking the RFID chip. Will be caught up things like martial law, FEMA camps, when all hell breaks loose in America, Babylon the Great. Nations like Russia, China, Iran, beating the drums of war, hastening the day of the prophecies of the Most High. Ezekiel 24:9. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, woe to the bloody city! I will even make the power for fire great, heap on wood, kindle.